On the second day of Pesach, the Jewish people had to harvest the first sheaf of barley from the new crop and offer it in the temple. This was a momentous event. All grain that had taken root by that time could not be eaten until the barley sheaf had been harvested and offered. But what did it mean? Judaism classes the natural world in 4 different categories: Doimim, Tzomeach, Chai and Medaber. Doimim is things that have no life to them at all: stones, air, fabric, plastic and so on. Tzomeach is things that grow, like trees, moss, mushrooms and flowers. Chai is things that move about, like birds, insects, animals and fish. We people are Medaber, blessed with the power of speech, like God himself. Rav Nachman of Breslov says that the harvesting of the barley was a step up on the ladder of life. When the barley was growing, it was a mix of doimim and tzomeach. It depended on the inert ground for its existence and its ability to grow. But when it was detached from the ground, it existed purely as tzomeach, something that could grow. This step was tiny. Tzomeach, a stalk of barley, is not even aware of its own existence and can certainly not make moral choices. And barley is more animal fodder than something for human consumption. So much more is expected of us than to be tzomeach. Yet this little step up was vitally important. The harvest was forbidden to us. Our food supply was cut off until we had accomplished this tiny gesture of spiritual growth by reaping and offering the first sheaf of barley. This mysterious offering was the portal to our future because it taught us a vital lesson: the power of a little step. God will not allow us to move forward with our lives unless we relearned every year the power of small things. We know where the little step of the barley sheaf led. The sheaf was called the Omer and lent its name to a 7-week count, which we start on the second night of Pesach. 49 days, 49 steps, which we call Sefirat HaOmer, the counting of the Omer. At the end of that first run of 7 weeks after the Jews left Egypt, they gathered at the foot of Mount Sinai and stepped into history as the chosen people, God's immortal kingdom of priests, called to engrave his name on the pages of history in letters of fire. And every year from then to now, for 7 weeks after Pesach, we relive that awesome progression from the start of our Omer count to the Chag Shavuot, rededicating ourselves to Torah and to God. The small step of the Omer teaches us every year to take 49 steps over 7 weeks so that we can be worthy at Shavuot of reliving the Mount Sinai moment and receiving once again our national destiny as God's firstborn. The Omer does not just help us to accept the Torah. It sharpens our vision of our whole lives so that we spot the small things that come our way. A word of prayer, a gift to someone in need, a minute of Torah learning, a Shabbat better observed. These are the little steps that set us on the journey to greatness. When we take these steps day after day, year after year, we end up making massive spiritual advances which justify God's trust in us from that time to this and long into the future.